Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Bridger of Worlds podcast. I'm your host, Ioannis Kokinos. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're on YouTube watching, thank you for tuning in. And if you're on one of the podcast platforms, thank you for tuning in as well. Hi, everybody. Once again, I'm popping in here today because I've pre-recorded this next episode that you're about to watch/listen to. And I've actually been working on something very exciting, and that is the first men's retreat that I am hosting this summer in June on the island of Ikaria, Greece. So I just want to put this in here because registration is now open. If you're on YouTube watching, you can find all the information down on the description below. And if you're on one of the podcast platforms, you can find the website on the podcast footer. So this is a men's retreat focusing on masculine embodiment. It's a 5-day, fully immersive experience in the Greek island wilderness. For those of you that have been following me, you know that I've traveled to Skiathos, to Corfu, to Crete. I've been living on Rhodes, and I've been communing with these islands and with the Greek wilderness very intentionally. So now this is medicine I want to offer and open up the space to share with my brothers. So if this is at all speaking to you, please sign up. I'd love to see you over there. It's going to be maximum 16 men. I am keeping the group small because I want to preserve the depth and the integrity of the container. And it'll be full day immersive work as far as I said, masculine embodiment is concerned. Think masculine, feminine energetics, aspecting shadow work, group circle, group witnessing, breath work, meditation, grounding exercises, primal energy expression and embodiment. It's going to be wild. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be charged. And I hope to see you there. Thank you. So as you can see, for those of you on YouTube, today's a very special episode because I have my first guest coming onto the podcast. And this is my new friend/friend, as we say on Threads. This is where we met, Aaron Labajo. We share the common story of being addicted to pornography. So I thought it would be a very powerful and interesting conversation if I had another fellow brother come on to the podcast and just have a smooth, free-flowing conversation about our experiences, our journey with porn addiction, and give some tips and information as to how men or even women that have this issue can better themselves and maybe find some other resources to find inspiration and knowledge and so on and so forth. So Aaron, welcome to Bridger of Worlds. You're the official first guest. How are you
Thank you,
doing?
brother. It's an honor.
Yeah.
Good, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk shop.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we both share a similar story, a similar journey with pornography and porn addiction. If you can just, start with your story, a little bit of what you've experienced, how you started, why you started, you think. And we'll take it from there.
Yeah. Thanks, man. So I would say, like a lot of guys, we start pretty young, usually around like 10 to 12. I personally started, I think, when I was either around 11 to 12. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
It was one of those two numbers. And I just remember, I don't remember the exact like first time I discovered it, but I just remember like, oh shit, like I'm just hooked on this and I need to see this pretty much every day at that
Yeah.
point. And I remember seeing like, just how like accessible it was. So I would just go on it every day. If I was bored, I would just go on it. Or like if I was on the toilet and I had my phone on me, which like usually that's the thing where people just bring their phones onto the toilet.
Yeah.
And I would just like, all right, shit, I'll start watching porn. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And And that was like a daily. It wasn't it wasn't always daily, but at some points it was daily. And I remember in the midst of COVID, man, it was
Mm,
daily, multiple times a day, maybe 2 to 3 times a
yeah.
day. And it wasn't even just like like regular porn anymore, 3D porn. It'd be like, or like, real life porn. It'd be like anime and like hentai and that sort of stuff.
Right.
And it just became it to me. It was like I just remember I don't remember how, like the exact day when I started being more conscious of like how it was affecting me and how I felt afterwards. I think it was always there all along, but it was just like the voice had to get loud enough for me to like actually start listening. But I remember every time I finished, I would always get that vague sort of voice, which is like, dude, why did you do that? Like,
Yeah.
or why did I do that? And yeah, I just remember there were points. I just remember there was a point where like, oh fuck, man, this just doesn't. This something's not right here. But then when you search about it, it's like, oh, it's normal to watch porn. Oh, it's normal to like
Yeah.
do all that stuff, you know? So it's like there wasn't really anything out there to kind of confirm this sort of inner feeling about what I
Yeah.
was doing. It's only in recent times when it's only really began to be a thing. But yeah, that's kind of like where I kind of started, where I just kind of watched it like or saw it like, I don't know, when I was 12. And then it from there was like, oh man, I I can't get off of this thing.
Yeah. We're young. I mean, our brains are so they're still like developing right at that stage, and
Mhm,
they're like just taking in so much. And I want to there's a few things like throughout what you were talking about, a few things I'd like to touch upon. Well, let's start with, you were say you're about 10 or 12 years old, which is when
mhm,
I was probably about 11, 12 years old as well when I started. I am a
mhm,
little bit older than you, so when I started there
mhm.
were no hub type websites. I think
Yep.
that's probably even more challenging now because it's
Oh yeah.
more hyper stimulation, and you have like 20 thumbnails set up per
Mm,
page, so it's like so stimulating. And
yep.
for our systems and for our brain, like we're not evolutionary equipped to be so sexually stimulated, right? And I think that's
Mhm,
where uh some men go over the edge and become addicted. So you started watching, let's say, uh out of curiosity, you think? Like, did you just have
mhm,
lack of information or sex education? It was obviously it's arousing, right? So we're feeling
mhm.
things when we're watching. What do you think was the starting point or the
Yeah, I think, well, I can only really know this looking back now, but I think one of the big things was I was pretty lonely, you
mm,
know. Um,
hmm
I remember like because I had friends and stuff like that, but when it comes to like girlfriends
yeah,
or at least like romantic relationships, I know I would see like everyone, oh man, that guy has a girlfriend, and then that girlfriend's dating is like had the crush on that guy.
yeah,
But to me, it's like, oh man, I don't think. Well, I don't know. Not that I know of at the time. How come no one's crushing on me? You know, that sort of
right,
thing. So I don't think I was getting my romantic slash sexual needs,
right.
or maybe I was just starting to open up to them, and I didn't know what to do with that. And so,
And I know you were more overweight. Like you've talked
mm,
about this on your Threads profile.
oh yeah,
Do you feel like being overweight did something to your confidence, and maybe that's why you felt like you couldn't have a girlfriend or attract romantic
oh
interests?
yeah,
Yeah.
200%. Um,
Yeah.
it was like this in the past 3 years has been the only time in my life where I have not been overweight. So all I knew my entire life was being overweight. And that definitely fed into it because, people would make comments, people would say stuff. I mean, even like family.
Hmm.
would say stuff, even though they weren't necessarily like had any malintent. They just kind of say
Right.
it.
It
But
was
even
for
then,
your
it's
own
like,
good, but yeah, still comments and
yes. So it really, I was in a place where I had really low, just overall low self-worth
yeah.
and self-esteem.
And then porn can really, in my experience, which I also share uh s- the same story with you about around being overweight. When I started, I was overweight, and throughout my whole adolescence, I was overweight, and I really struggled with transforming my body. But I mean, it's pretty ironic because I ended up becoming a personal trainer, and health is like number one for me now, and fitness and all that. But um it was also watching the porn. I remember like really feeling bad about myself because I mean, I'm heterosexual. I was obviously like really attracted and aroused by the women, but I was also like
Hmm.
comparing myself to the men. Like, I'm
Hmm.
like, how like can I do that, or how can I even have a girlfriend if I look like me and I don't look like that? I mean, like 99% of the men on porn, especially like hardcore porn, are jacked, fit, they're
Yeah.
ripped. So I don't know if this is often talked about. I mean, okay, we all have our reasons for being addicted to pornography, and we like what we like, or even like the genders, we like the genders that we like, but there's a sense of for me at least, was the comparing as well. That was a big piece for me because it, even after I quit the porn, right? Like, it's the mental aspect. Like, I got in shape. I was a personal trainer for 5 years. From the outside, it looked like you could say I was flying, like I was confident and this and that, but I still was like terrified of intimacy. I still had performance anxiety. Even like when I
Yep.
was sleeping with women, like
Hmm.
what porn had done to my mind and body was still very much a part of me because I hadn't really
Hmm.
unpacked like what it meant for me, and just the psychological and emotional damage it did to me. I don't
Hmm.
know, can you relate to that at all, or
Dude, yeah, I'm in a relationship right now, and I'm currently experiencing that for
Mhm.
myself. Um, like sometimes I get like these like mental movies in my head about like, oh man, like am I gonna be able to like perform for her? Am I gonna be able
Yeah.
to, am I gonna be able to, yeah, just do that? Or am I good enough? Or in many cases big enough, all that,
Yeah,
all that sort of stuff.
that's another big, well, pun not intended, pun not intended, but it's another important piece, I think. But yeah, continue and we can unpack that a little bit later.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, yeah, and then I get in my head about it. It's like, oh shit, like, and obviously, this is still something that like I'm working through, I'm not, I still have so much, and I haven't even watched porn in like a year, and there's still so much to like work through, I guess.
Yeah, because
But
you cut
mhm,
porn, because we had a conversation already about this. It's been
mhm,
a year. You're like you're not watching it all, right? And you
yeah,
see like the after effects. Even I mean, I've not watched in years, but
mhm,
there are thoughts, right? There are like situations where I question, and obviously not as much at all like right now, but back when it was like closer to the cutting of the porn, definitely, because I think it's only one piece of the formula just to like cut the porn, because then you have to take care of like the emotional aspect, the mental aspect, because it like conditions the mind, right? It's like there's so much science out there right now talking about like what porn does to the brain and like the pathways, and we really have to kind of um well, not kind of, we have to like remold our brain almost with
yeah,
new pathways, and that takes time, that takes repetition and consistency.
yeah. It's like unclogging a toilet is what I always say, telling myself.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, for sure. So can you, I mean, you're saying you have like thoughts around performance and stuff like that. We talked about
Mm,
the comparing thing, but you also mentioned size. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of most men think about their size, and what we see on porn obviously is usually quite unrealistic or just exaggerated. And um, throughout my research, trying to recover and heal, I did come across a lot of men that actually developed some form of body dysmorphic disorder where they became so obsessive about the size of their penis that they actually would picture it smaller than it actually was. Like it was really like a
Damn.
mental block. So, um, have you experienced
It's that.
something like this?
Um, I mean, for sure. I mean, like, even though like my girlfriend like assures me like, oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Like, it's still in my head. I'm like, is it really good? Like,
Yeah.
like all that stuff like that goes on, and like the
Yeah.
little stuff that goes on in the back of your head. So it's, I mean, to me, I would say, yeah, on the topic of porn too, like those guys there, or at least something I know I have to understand is like on porn, it's all curated, and like they're getting the hottest people, like literally like on the
Yeah.
right side of the bell curve. And when you compare yourself to that, of course you're gonna be like, of course you're gonna be disappointed. But that's not average.
Plus, man, I
At least
mean,
that's what I tell
yeah,
myself.
they get guys that are already fit, that already are bigger in size, but there's also a lot of injections involved, pills,
Mm-hmm.
drugs. There, we get like the sparkles, we get the show, right? Everything's like it's all about the angles and the lighting, but like the reality of what actually goes on during filming and what these both men and women put through them um, put themselves through and their bodies
Mm-hmm.
is not at all we don't see that, we don't understand that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they do a really good job in painting an illusion as the man, I think, being like super almost like godlike, right? Like
Yeah,
he's also
great
like,
statue.
yeah, like he's also like fully in control, he's dominating, right? Like the woman is just like a piece of meat being thrown around. We don't know if there's any
Yep.
consent, we don't know what they agreed upon. We have absolutely no idea. And yeah, and when we're young, right? We're like 10, 11, 12 years old and we start to watch that shit.
Mm-hmm.
We think this is what it has to be. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
kids, a lot of teenagers think that this is what it has to be, and it warped my mind for years, man. Like years,
Mm-hmm.
years, years,
Mm-hmm.
cuz then it's like all the self-worth stuff and the confidence and the constant comparing and the constant questioning. Like you, when
Mm-hmm.
I was with women, they were telling me I'm fine and it was good, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
questioning and that's just this program. It's just programming. It has nothing to do
Yeah.
with the truth. It's conditioning.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can really take a toll on you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to the point where like it even like I shit, dude. Like if you want to keep following this thread, we can. Like, but like you'd have trouble like keeping it up because of performance anxiety, and then you get in your head, and then you just stay stuck there, and like you can't, like you literally cannot fully connect with the person because all that gunk is in
Yeah,
there. At least from what I have seen.
100%. Because I mean, we do our nervous system, as far as like our sexuality is concerned, needs to be in a relaxed, calm, safe state. Like I think not I think it is number one, we need to feel safe in our body and in our energy. And then obviously have partners that make us feel safe and that we can,
Hmm.
promote safety to them.
Hmm.
If that's not there, no matter, how much physical stimulation and even, okay, maybe we'll get a little bit aroused because it feels good, but if we're not like safe in our body, and by that I also mean just like the thoughts we have toward ourselves and the feelings we have toward
Hmm.
ourselves, if we're thinking about our size, if we're thinking about our weight, if we're thinking about performance, that's not
Hmm.
feeling safe. We're not feeling safe in our body and in our energy.
Right.
So there's no presence after, and we need to be,
Yeah.
especially as men, right? Like we want if we're bringing in polarity work, masculine, feminine, the masculine is about that safety and presence for the feminine to like open and surrender,
Mm-hmm.
and then the dance can happen, like the union can happen. So yeah, it's a lot of pressure. It can be a lot of pressure, but it doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be. It's just
Mm-hmm.
about what we learned and what we have to decondition ourselves with. And
Mm.
yeah, is there anything you like to add to that, or
No, man, I mean, you said it
or,
best.
any,
You
or
said it amazingly.
yeah. So next, let's kind of maybe talk a little bit about your recovery journey. So you said it's been about a year that you've stopped porn. Since then,
Hmm.
what has recovery and healing looked like for you?
Well, um, like I did stop porn. So it was September of 2024 when I finally quit for good. And so it's been over like 15, 16 months at that point, almost
Yeah.
18, a year and a half. So, but it's like, and I want to make it clear because, I feel like I wish I heard this when I was trying to quit. Like I didn't, I was only able to quit September 2024, not because I went suddenly cold turkey, but it's because I struggled for probably years before that to even quit. And then
Mm.
that was just the point where it was finally like, okay, I think it just kind of naturally was not really in me anymore. Or I just kind of was like, all right, I'm done. And so let me like, I'll explain. So like, I really tried quitting for years, and it would be like, I would be done for maybe a week or maybe
Yeah.
2 weeks or then 3 weeks and then maybe even a month. And then I'd get sucked back into it. And then I'm at it again every day, multiple times a day, like relapse basically. It's basically an addiction.
Yeah,
And
it is.
that was the cycle. That was the cycle that I had for I don't know, years, where I would just try quitting, and then I would kind of do okay for a little bit and then just fall right back into it.
Right.
And it was, I think, I know it's kind of cheesy, but one thing that has helped me is like, I just kept fucking trying, and I kept trying. Even when I was like, dude, this is hopeless. I'm going to be stuck here forever. I still kept trying somehow. That's one thing. And then, but one of the most important things was also getting my lifestyle on check.
Yeah.
Like I started getting in shape.
Like
I
finding
started,
purpose, almost like finding some
yes,
purpose. Yeah.
yes, yeah, exactly. It's not like, oh man, I'm gonna go make $1 billion company, right? Like you can maybe, but for me, it was just like, listen, man, I'm sick of being this, and I want to be the person that I was born to be. And that was like, and to me, when I visualize that, I think, oh, he's in good shape. He is, he's not watching porn all the time because he's like doing cool stuff. And so I think that's what I started doing. There was actually a heartbreak in like 2022 that kind of sparked that. And I mean, we can talk about that more or not, but that's kind of what, like, from that point, I lost like 40 pounds in a year. I started training for a marathon.
That's in
But I was still watching porn.
2022.
Hmm.
Okay. That's what I
Yeah.
was gonna say. And then for 2 years
Yeah.
you were still watching porn.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it was like, I was still watching porn, but like it wasn't, first of all, it wasn't, the urges weren't as much, and it was easier to not watch porn because, because I was in better shape, because I was in a better place mentally. But it's still like, the obviously the strings are very strong at that point. So I was still like getting pulled into it, even when I didn't want to. And really, it was probably in 2023 when I had this sort of like another heartbreak where that
So
kind of
you were
create
like, you were dating, you had romantic situations and watching porn at the same time. And okay.
that started probably 2021 when I
Okay.
was talking to people, or I'd start traveling too and then talk to people,
Yeah.
and there were women there too. But it never went like beyond maybe like I'd get like lunch with them,
Oh, so it
but it would
wasn't
never.
physical, like you didn't,
Yeah, it wasn't
well,
really physical.
like
Yeah,
not
yeah,
home base at all.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is it just
Well, the
like
first one was
first or
the
second?
2022 one was.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
okay, so we could touch upon this. I mean, while watching
yeah,
porn, was that like
yeah.
the time where you were like really in your head about everything? Because you were watching porn and you for all those years, and how what did that
Mm.
conversation show up with your romantic partner at the time? Like,
Dude, yeah,
did it
actually,
affect you? Is what I'm basically asking.
yeah. I remember this very specifically. I remember at the time my partner, she was like, "Can you?" And she was nice about it too. Like, it's can you like because we were being intimate, and then I was still watching porn on top of that, right?
Yeah.
And she would be like, "What?" I remember one day she asked, "Can you watch that less?" Or
Mm.
like she just asked me to stop watching it as much, or just stop watching it entirely. And I was like, and literally, I remember at the time I was like, but it's like it's normal, you know.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
literally the explanation. It's normal. Like over here, it's like it's normal to watch porn like regularly. Like everyone does it.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that, and I remember she was also like very uh not happy to hear that at the time.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think it also I don't know if that directly led to the. It wasn't that led directly to the breakup, but I'm sure that also had a very like a role in that. I remember to like and the thing is too, what I learned from that relationship was like, dude, I was just in that because I was like, I don't think I really actually had a deep like connection with her.
Mm.
Like I was just kind of I was basically just horny. Like we were basically just using each other as like masturbation.
Right. It was just
Our
lust
bodies were
and yeah, like lust and very um yeah, but the physical piece, the physical aspect.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't I mean I had like when I remember I had quit the porn and then I had it was never relationships. It was just women that were friends with benefits.
Mhm.
So there was always like stuff coming up there. I mean, we were close enough where I can open up about it, but again, it wasn't very my heart was never in it. Like it wasn't also I was just like a shade of who I was because of all of the conditioning and the low self-worth and the programming and I was very fortunate because like all the women that I experienced these things with were nice and kind and were caring and understanding.
Mhm.
But I realized at some point it's like this thing of like thinking because I thought I had to just replace porn with real life sex, but
Yep.
my like as I said, my heart was still closed. I still hadn't really unpacked why I was watching porn and all the conditioning still had like a lot of like control over my mind and my body. So I did feel like I needed a period of abstinence and celibacy and really like come back to myself and really also
Mhm.
come back to my body and also to learn in some way, shape, or form to be my own lover. Like because then it's
I see
like
what you mean.
you're constantly seeking and going outside for that love, affection, attention, intimacy, and masturbating, especially for guys, can be like, 3 minute, 5 minute thing, but self-pleasuring, if you make it like a little bit of like ritual and you really go into like the sensual experience of exploring your body, seeing what you like, and it can be very liberating. It can be very healing. And then you can obviously take that into romantic, with romantic encounters with other people. And
Mhm.
I think that was such a big part of my healing as well because
Mhm.
um yeah, there's like all the science around cutting the porn and reconditioning your pathways, stop even no fapping and no fantasizing. And yeah, in the beginning I have to say even like masturbating and self-pleasuring was triggering me and
Mhm.
would trigger me to go watch porn. So there
Mhm.
was a period of, yeah, like total no masturbating, no fapping, and all that. But
Hmm.
I think for me, like, as I said, it's also we have to love our body. We have to know um what we like and how to like also learn how to explore that on our own and
Hmm.
um yeah, like make it a bit of like a ritual. Like it can be
Hmm.
very healing. It can be very healing and it can be very liberating.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of men would probably struggle with this because
Yeah.
like as I said, masturbating could be something, you know, like a 5 minute quickie in the bathroom or the shower or like in between, I don't know, some shift and somewhere to go. I don't know. But I guess as you know, energy wise, it can be perceived more feminine
Yeah.
because it's the
Yeah.
sensual piece and it's like the slowing down. Whereas we're conditioned to like, you know, just thrust and go and be fast and like get it in and go out. And so it was very challenging for me as well, right? Because of the porn and you know like how the men are, I never thought that that would be healing and medicinal, but it totally is. So I want to like bring this to the space and offer it to the conversation. What's your have Do you have any experience with something like this? Is like anything I talked about? Just yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, so I think one of the things that really was important for me, well, first of all, like there's like the whole like spirituality side of things that
Hmm.
transformed everything in 2023.
Oh yeah, I'd love to
And
get into
then,
this. Yeah.
yeah. And then there's also actually a little bit after in 2024, I came across the concept of the anima from Carl Jung. And
Yeah, we're
so
gonna talk about
that,
Young. Let's do it. Yeah.
yeah. And there was a book from Robert A. Johnson called
Okay.
well, there's a lot. I love a lot of his stuff too, actually. But there was he, and then there was also which kind of goes into like how a man like relates to the anima and all that sort of stuff, but also or like his inner feminine. But then
Yeah.
also there's another book. There's like healing your own shadow, or there's that exercise that Carl Jung does, which is called like active imagination, I believe,
Hmm.
where you dialogue with like the certain with like the different archetypes
Oh
within
yeah,
yourself.
this I
Yeah.
oh okay, now we're going into some good territory. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's how it was. That's how I started. Like actually, to me, that was very also healing and how the way that I relate to just women in general, and also to like my own inner like feminine and all that sort of stuff is literally just
Right.
talking to my anima. And it's funny too. Have you seen the movie Crazy Rich Asians?
Crazy Rich Asians?
Yeah.
No. Is it new
Okay. It came
or
out like
newer?
maybe like 2018 or something around that.
Crazy Rich Asians is no.
Yeah. I saw it at the time, and like there's a really beautiful like woman there in the movie. And so that's when I started getting into the anime work, and she was British. So like whenever I picture my anima, she has like a British accent whenever like I'm doing the active imagination and like writing down with
So
her. Yeah, that was just a little
you journal the convo with your inner feminine anima.
yeah, basically it's like oh, I'm writing my thing and then I write the anima's thing next,
Ah,
basically.
this is I love that you're bringing this up, man. Honestly, this is so good because it's such a big part of my journey as well. But for me, it's more so, yeah, writing. I write every day. I do my morning
Hmm.
pages and writing is A1, but also like embodiment. So I learned this when I went to my first workshop in Montreal. And I don't know if you've heard the word aspecting as far as far as this process is concerned. So basically, let's say instead of like writing to your anima and responding as your
Hmm.
anima through
Hmm.
writing, basically
Hmm.
you could set up like props, cushions, pillows, anything.
Hmm.
Um, and you literally like you move so that you embody,
Oh wow. Okay.
and it's
Okay.
so fucking powerful. And like when I was
That's
first
crazy.
introduced to this, I was like, I'm like gonna talk to myself, or like this
Yeah.
is like, but basically, so let's say, yeah, I'm sitting down on this pillow, and I would be me, like which I would be technically in my masculine, and then I set up a pillow across from me, and I'm speaking, and I direct the conversation to the pillow as my anima.
Mm.
And it's incredible. The conversation actually like takes hold because the energy like comes through and like speaks. So, as you're writing and your
Wow.
anima is like you're responding as your anima, it's the same thing. Like, and you actually move and you go sit on the
Yeah.
pillow. And I noticed like even mannerisms were changing, and my posture was changing. Like I was really in the energy of my feminine, and it was like a conversation. So my
Mm.
feminine was responding, and then I'd come back into like the masculine pillow, and the masculine would respond. And it's like, it was fucking mind blowing because
That's
like
wow.
you see it, you embody it, and then like you just get like really incredible information. So I love that I see you're like, I'm gonna try this.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I literally feel it. Like I'm like, wow,
um
this is so cool.
so yeah, I mean, it's basically what you described with the writing, but it's more embodiment, it's more like movement. And what, like, as I said, what really startled me was like how my whole body and energy changed when I was like cycling through the pillows. And it was energy. It wasn't like, oh, I have to like act like a woman, because, and it's not like I was acting like a woman. It's just the energy became softer, obviously, because the masculine feminine conversation, usually the feminine is like about the part of us that doesn't feel safe, that doesn't feel seen, doesn't feel heard, emotional, right? Like that's the emotional aspect. And then the masculine is about like the space holding, and also like, when, I mean, let's say they're there's wounded femininity and wounded masculinity, and they're both quote unquote hurting each other. The masculine usually wants that hyper control, right? It's like trying
Mm.
to suppress the feminine as much as possible, because she's emotional and volatile, and she's the movement and all that. So it's interesting when like that surfaces as a conversation between both.
Wow. Dude, that's awesome.
So, in your experience with active imagination and writing, what was some, let's say, I don't know if you remember, or what was some
Mm.
things that were coming up for you as like your anima conversation, and if you'd like to share, if you remember, or is this something you still practice?
I don't do it as like much, but it's like I feel like I can just kind of access
Yeah,
her now without having
it
to
became more. It's like more natural
intuitive.
now,
Yeah.
because I guess they're more integrated. Like, right? Would you say they're more
Yes.
like your energies are more integrated?
I would say so. Yeah. Like I think like one of the things, yeah, I was like talking in my active imagination, and my animal was like, I forgot I named her something too. Fuck, dude. But she, but I'm just gonna say she for this
Yeah, yeah.
like case. But she was basically saying like are you there? And I'll say like are you there? And she'll be like always what always was, like stuff like that. Like she's always there, never left. Like it's not something that like she's not like
Coming
outside
and
of me,
going. Yeah, yeah.
but she was
It's
always
always
there.
there.
And even stuff like I would picture her crying and being like, you just like I'm watching you like destroy yourself and be in all this pain. And I wish I could help you, but like I can't. It's like I can't reach you. Like she'll say stuff like that. Like when I would do the active imagination. And it's like you're trying to like, yeah, it's like I don't know if you've heard of like when people sometimes if they get in a coma, like they
Oh
can
wow.
still be like they can wake up from the coma, but they have
But
no control of their
yeah,
body or anything like that. That's kind of like how I picture it. Like from her perspective, is like
fascinating.
she cannot like do anything basically, even though like she's right there experiencing literally everything that I'm also experiencing.
And do you feel like this was like the nurturing part of you, that feminine, soft, nurturing energy that obviously when we're like in the porn and or the conditioning and like we're it's that hyper hard rigid masculine energy, right? And that feminine, and
Mhm.
obviously we're witnessing the feminine on porn being tossed around and fucked like a piece of meat. And
Mhm.
um that's that part of us does get really like shut down because a part of us as men and having access to our anima or feminine energy is to soften and to feel like we can nurture and also like be receptive, right? Like the feminine is the receptive, or one aspect of the feminine is the softening and the receiving.
Mhm.
So when she was telling you this, was there like a sense of like what was your masculine's response to her, or his reaction, or you as Aaron writing to her?
Mhm.
Was it
It
anger? Was
was
it resentment? Was it blame?
mm.
What?
It was at first, yeah, it was like multiple things at once, dude. It was
Yeah.
like resentment and then anger and then being like, well, I didn't see you. Where the hell were you? You know,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. Like a little defensiveness almost. And I think it kind of just like it speaks to the part of myself that feels like I have to do everything on my own and I have to like I can't rely on anybody else except myself. It's like the same thing.
Oh yeah.
And yeah. And but then I think also once I got through that and once I continued to dialogue with the animal, I could almost kind of start feeling myself like, okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Like
Yeah.
you're not alone. And it's interesting you mentioned that because um one expression of wounded masculinity is that I have to do everything alone, and that um I am alone, and I have to take care of everyone. And am I good enough? Am I enough? Right? Like I think this goes back to like the penis size piece. Like
Hmm.
mentally, when we're just thinking about our size, that's also quite symbolic. It's obviously like our penis is an aspect of our masculinity, and it's like the part of our body that like erects and protrudes and takes up
Mm,
space. So like if we're psychologically questioning if we're enough, are we can we measure up to do this? And um it can I think that's very what do you call it, like it just connects the pieces. It's not, let's say, when we have our issues with our penis size, it's not just about the penis. It's our whole perception of who we are. And not
mm,
the penis, but like as men, because as men we want to like take up space, we want to be confident, we want to quote unquote erect and be solid, and like that's a part of masculine
right.
energy. So
Mhm.
when we're quote unquote taking it out on our penis, I think that's just like the surface level, um um yeah, what do you call it, uh, like the surface level receiving. And I want to say punching bag, but it's not a punching bag. But
Mm,
yeah, you catch my drift. Like we
mhm,
blame that, but that's not really the problem. It's a psychological thing. It's an emotional.
mm. Jung would probably say it's a calling
It's
to
a
go inner. It's a calling to go inner or to go
yeah,
inside.
yeah.
Yeah, the image of a sword comes to my mind for some reason.
A sword.
Yeah, like when yeah, I don't know why that came to my head.
I mean, it's a phallic symbol.
Mhm,
It's
mhm,
a phallic symbol, and the phallus in itself, like the erect penis as a symbol, it's traveling through the ages. It's prominent across ancient civilizations. It's one of Shiva's symbols, right? Like the lingam in Hindu tantra. It's one of the symbols of the ancient Greek god Dionysus. And it's not the erect penis for the sake of like getting off and penetrate. It's a symbol of rebirth. It's a symbol of like fertility and virility, and it's it's the masculine force of creation.
Mm.
And the blade, you mentioned the sword, the sword is about cutting, it's about slicing, and yeah, it's painful, but that's also part of creation because we also need to cut away and um get rid of old life that has run its course, old life that has expired, right? Like when we want to get rid of porn, we need to draw our swords, metaphorically speaking, and
Mm.
cut it away, and it's painful and it's hard, but that's the part of the masculine energy. So that's so interesting that you you got an image of a sword during this conversation. Yeah, man. Yeah. So there's actually something else I had on my mind. I was like, I want to touch
Mhm.
base with something you said.
Mhm.
Well, we went on down the young route, and that really excited me. Um, yeah, I wanted to ask, so during your recovery, did you come
Mhm.
across the science, like the brain is plastic, you need to recondition the pathways? Like what, as far as research is concerned, did you do anything or did you come across anything?
Dude, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I it's funny too, because like I am into like science and all that first stuff. But I really, in all honesty, no, barely.
Okay, so you
Like
just cut the
barely.
porn and like living life and
Well, the thing is like it felt so at least in terms of recovery, like it wasn't really the science, but I would say it was like intuitive in that like it's just like I would get this feeling after watching porn every single time that I'm like, dude, something is just this just does not feel right. Like,
yeah,
this doesn't feel good. Whereas like, when I leave the gym, when I get home from the gym, I'm like every time I'm like, oh yeah,
yeah, it feels
I'm
like
really glad I went to the gym. And so it was like it was more like I would go into forums and look up like, hey, is it okay to masturbate all the time? Or like, and that's how I eventually came across the whole concept of nofap.
right.
And there's even r slash nofap, and then there's r slash no porn. So there was like I would kind of drift in between where I would try to quit and then or I would try to quit watching porn and then it'd be like, okay, my brain would be like, hey, well, don't watch porn. How about you just like masturbate? And then the thing is it's a slippery slope. I'll start doing that and I'll just get back into porn, you
Yeah,
know?
that's why I
And
think the whole masturbating thing, especially when you're in the
mhm,
beginning, I do agree
mhm,
because I saw it in my experience as well. Like it can trigger
mhm,
you to go watch. But then, yeah, I think obviously eventually we should develop a healthy, conscious, self-pleasuring routine as well that obviously
mhm,
doesn't trigger you to go watch porn, but it's also about instilling that presence because
mhm,
that's really what's missing. Because when we're watching porn, we're not yeah, okay, we're like sitting in front of a laptop or a phone or whatever, and we're present, quote unquote, physically, but we're not energetically present because
mhm, yeah.
we're so stimulated by the visuals. It's all like it's purely cerebral, right? Whereas uh sensuality and sexual intimacy is fully being present in your body.
Yes.
Um
Yes.
there's something else. What did you say? You're saying the thing. It's funny because you're saying something, and I'm like, oh, I want to like touch up on that, but then like leave,
Yeah.
you know.
We find another
Um,
thread.
but honestly, man, I'm really like loving this convo, and I appreciate how open you are. And there's just some things that you brought to the space that I've been wanting to bring on my solo podcast, but I think through conversation, it's even more uh, potent, more powerful.
Yeah.
Ah,
Like
yes,
pinballs.
shadow work.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, Aaron, before you mentioned shadow work,
Mhm,
and we've been talking about Jung, so shadow work is obviously a concept from Jung and it speaks to facing like our denied, rejected, darker,
mhm.
disowned parts. I've talked quite a bit about the shadow on this podcast. I'd love to hear your experience with shadow work, what you've read, what stood out for you, and maybe any like practices or um, resources that you'd like to share.
Yeah. So yeah, it was again the Robert A. Johnson, like his books, like really kind of got me into that whole space. Um, I guess like his definition of the shadows, like all the stuff that you kind of don't like about yourself, I guess, or they get trained out of you by society, and sometimes it's good and bad.
Yeah.
And so, but I have found from my experience, like talking with like the shadow is so like usually the way I relate outwardly to the world is like kind of nice, like super nice guy, like chill, and I liked to think that I was just that. But also in doing shadow work, I also noticed that, oh man, I actually can be like really fucking petty. Um, there's like a little bit of a lot of anger in there, a lot of
Yeah.
all sorts of like what else like deceitful. Have you read the book or have you heard the No More Mr. Nice Guy? That sort of stuff.
Like kind of like the nice guy syndrome, like the people pleaser type.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. It's like it was kind of like classic like people pleaser stuff where it's like,
Right.
okay, you're nice, but then internally you're kind of
Like,
manipulative
yeah.
and
And it's
don't
about
know what you
boundaries, I
want.
think. Like it's about
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but there's a lot of like, or at least I noticed there are parts of myself that are very angry, like almost like, yeah, just angry with everything. And it's like, oh, what the hell do I do with that? You know, at least that's what I've found encountered upon my own journey. It almost kind of like, to me, like, it almost makes me feel bad for people who are like just evil or anything like that. Cause it's like, man, they really just like succumbed to
mm,
their own,
yeah,
to their own,
went off the rails. Like, yeah, there's went off the edge.
yeah. To me, like I look at it like, oh, it's a very crazy river. But I have also dialogue with the shadow. We can zoom in on more stuff if you want.
Yeah. So how would you, in your experience with porn
Mhm,
addiction and watching porn and
mhm.
recovery, how would you
Yeah.
tie in shadow work to
Mhm,
that? Like, did you see us? Because obviously, shadows about like when
mhm.
we, especially when we're dealing with others, we tend to project our shadow, right? Like we see sometimes someone that triggers us, well, they're technically like mirroring that aspect of our shadow that we haven't really held space for, that hasn't been made as conscious.
Man.
So how would you relate that to your experience with porn? Do you feel like there was an aspect of your shadow, is what I'm asking, when you were watching
Yeah.
pornography?
So, I mean, for one thing, um, like just like I guess maybe on a broad level, like I had all this like gunk, this energy within me that was just like getting
S-
pushed down. And like the only, at least at the time, the only way I could see that I can kind of release this is through an equally extreme form of porn. And like as I began to, I guess, metabolize and open up this part of myself in a controlled manner, I naturally did not need as much extreme stimulation such as porn over time. But also like on a deeper level, like in terms of projection, like something that comes to mind right now is um there was like, because of like there's like low self-esteem, and then also just kind of a little bit of like, and I'd noticed this too, almost this kind of, I don't want to say incel, but like a little bit of like resentment towards women in a way that was
Yeah.
in there, because like, oh, you didn't choose me, you chose like all those other guys who are more tall and more fit, and I'm here and I'm like fat and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. And it was only when I started like actually realizing, oh, that's actually a really wounded part of myself that I've just been like kind of letting off to the side. And it's also actually, no, I need to look at this, and I need to love this and give like there's like that inner child work where like, oh, this is like a wounded version of myself that I need to go in and like, embrace and help heal. And that's also when I started not resenting women as much, and then also not having to be as lonely, and then not having to go to porn to like temporarily relief or get some sort of relief from that.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for like painting that picture because it's really yeah, that's also been my journey and you explained it really well. I want to touch base with you said at the beginning you felt your energy was getting suppressed and you were compensating with hyper stimulation through pornography. What energy? Was it your sexual energy? Like your primal energy? Like that part of you
I would
that
say so. Yeah. Yeah, good question. I think like the way I see it is like at least from what I see is the shadow, or like you have all this stuff within you that's like swirling around. And if you don't look at it, and if you just try and ignore it, then it's just like kind of like a little volcano that's just waiting to erupt.
yeah,
And if you just keep trying to press it down, well, then like it has to go somewhere, So I think it's like,
100%. It needs
yeah,
to express. It needs to express itself. Yeah, no, just because you reminded me, and I've mentioned this in my previous episodes.
hmm
Primal energy, right? Like sexual
yeah,
energy. I think obviously there's so much miscommunication, especially growing up, as to like what that actually is. We don't really
hmm
talk about it, within the school systems, the cultural systems, the religious
yeah,
systems, even maybe family systems, depending
that's
on
true.
your upbringing. So there's like a huge, I think already we're already like we've lost the battle because we have such little information and knowledge as to what this part of us is. And I'm not talking
Mm,
just the sexual piece, but just like
yeah,
the primal, like the primal
yeah,
energy, right? Like the sexual expression is just under like the umbrella of like the primal, which encompasses also survival, food, money, eating, right? Like um so I think most of us are taught like this part of us is bad, like the animal
hmm
part of us is bad. It's also, obviously I think because of our upbringing and we're conditioned to also reject our private parts and our sex organs and it's like that part of us that we have to hide and we like shit from there and piss from there and all kinds of stuff like comes out from there.
yeah,
It's like
hmm
so already that's like so unconscious and then
yeah,
the shadows and the unconscious. So it gets everything kind of becomes like one big, I think you said like a volcano or spiral
yeah,
or yeah, you said something like with the volcano and I think it really also just amplifies that shadow. It really just
yeah,
um makes it seem like a big bad monster when as you
hmm
said it's really all about inner child like
hmm
wounding and loving because like we can let's say depending on what we're experiencing and what we're moving through project our shadow as like a huge big like undefeatable monster or we can realize that it's just carrying like the inner child wounding because that's the origin of the shadow is just our repressed and suppressed like trauma and what we experience as children when we were young and so on and so forth. So it's really just like learning to love this aspect of
hmm
ourselves and we could call it shadow, we can call it inner child, and even like the primal part of us because we do need to integrate that primal aspect of us. I keep saying this time and time again and it's been such a big part of my journey because I think, looking back, it was really like this misunderstanding or this knowledge that I had that like the animal part of me, not even the shadow, just the animal part of me is bad. It's
mm,
bad. And um, you mentioned before spirituality, so I think this would be a good opportunity or to, to come in here with a spiritual piece. But
Hmm.
obviously, like we learn that the animal is the opposite or has nothing to do with spirituality when they have everything to do with each other, because from the spiritual aspect, everything is here because of the great spirit, God, source, the higher force. What do you think about this? And you mentioned the
Mm.
spiritual part of your journey. I'd love for you to touch upon that a little bit.
Have you read the book Berserk or like the manga Berserk? Have you heard of it?
No,
It's like one of my favorite stories ever. Um,
Berserk.
I
I'll yeah,
yeah,
I'll look into that.
yeah. But I was just it just really came to my mind right now because like there's the villain, they call him the Hawk of Light, and he wears all white. And the protagonist, which is like the good guy, he wears all black.
Interesting.
And he like one of the central things in the story is that he has to learn how to work with this inner beast of darkness, which takes on the form of
Ooh,
like this rabid wolf. Yeah. And it like it literally like and it has a special he has a special armor that lets him like be super strong, but if he gets too consumed by the rage, it literally destroys his it corrupts his soul and it destroys his body if he
okay.
doesn't learn how to like use it correctly. And it
Oh
has like
wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Send me the info after. I'd love to look into this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically like a comic, like Japanese
It
manga
sounds
and
very
stuff like that.
familiar. It sounds like you just gotta tame that beast that is not going anywhere, because that part of us needs love, that needs
Yeah.
compassion and understanding and safety, and yeah.
Yes. And so it's interesting because the Hawk of Light used to be a human too. Like they were actually friends with the protagonist. There's a whole story. But he basically like he had this ambition and he basically there was like this ritual thing they did and he sacrificed all the parts of himself and like all the weak parts of himself so that he could finally be strong and become the light.
Wow.
And yeah. So I think about that a lot when it comes to like discussions of like spirituality and like shadow work, because obviously we can see as the audience that the protagonist is the more like enlightened one in this case, if we were to like make a comparison of the
Right.
two, because he's actually doing the work of integrating that stuff within him, even as ugly as it is, because like it literally destroys his body, versus the guy who just kind of tried to reject everything else. And so
That's so
to me, it's like,
symbolic.
yeah, I think about that story a lot, but I think it's a good way to illustrate the kind of the interaction between shadow work and spirituality. I think that is part of the path right there. You can meditate. That's cool too. And all that sort. So you can like forget it all and go to a mountain and meditate. Like that's a valid channel for that. And going through the ugliness of seeing the parts within yourself, at least from what I've noticed, is also the work or spirit at work. It
Definitely.
seems
Yeah.
like.
And I think, as far as spirituality is concerned, that's a whole other it's a whole other discussion, I think, because it's so big, it's so loaded. But for me and what I've learned, at the end of the day, it's about embodiment and being in this
Mm-hmm.
body and doing the day-to-day mundane, making your coffee, going out, smelling like the fresh air,
Yeah.
going in the sea, having good company, enjoying a meal, like that's all spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, we use the word consciousness a lot in the spiritual communities. And yes, it is about having a certain consciousness or even awareness. For me, they're synonyms. Some people would disagree, but it is about just having a certain awareness and presence in everything that you do. Cause like you have someone who can like rush to work and like try and chug their coffee down so that it's done by the time they get there, or you have someone that like takes their time and is present and enjoys the coffee. Everything is spiritual because everything came from the great the great source, oneness. But the person like taking their time and really being conscious with the coffee, I think that to me, yeah, like, you could like looks like practicing spirituality, and it's also just being present in your body and in your present
Mhm.
circumstances, and not so much about turning down the lights and meditating and trying to like go inward. I think that's definitely a part of it and needed and necessary, and I believe everybody should meditate in some way, shape, or form. Doesn't mean, like you said, you have to go out on some mountain and stay there all day, but it's just bringing it back to presence and awareness. And I think that's how we can just be like fully human with all our shit and baggage, and also be spiritual at the same time.
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So I think this is a good spot to end the convo. Yeah, we're this really passed very fast. I'd love to talk more, but I don't want the episode to be too long. Just to close off the episode, Aaron, first of all, thank you for coming on again.
Thank
I
you.
really I
Thanks for
really
having
enjoy
me.
your presence on Threads. I'm really glad this happened, and I hope we can continue to cultivate this new friendship. But
You too,
in
man.
yeah, in closing, for anybody, let's say, who is suffering from porn addiction or wants to quit, and um needs some advice, needs some help, what would you say to that man here and
I
now?
think I think it's really important to be like, first of all, kind to yourself and understanding of yourself on this journey because it's hard. And I think also like remember to pat yourself on the back because like the fact that you have this awareness that, oh man, this is something that is not serving me, that already speaks to your own sort of, I guess, development or your beingness. And I have never hated myself to my goals. I have never hated myself to my goals. If anything, it always is a hindrance to actually achieving my goals. So I think something that you would be very helpful to pass me is to just do like be kind to yourself and remember like just be look back and just kind of give yourself credit and take the wins as small as they are. That's all I can say.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Aaron, for that. So, for everybody listening and everybody on YouTube, on the podcast platforms, thank you for tuning in. I will be back next week, of course, every Thursday here on Bridge of Worlds, Masculine Embodiment, Spiritual Awakening podcast. And as always, please remember that you are the medicine and I am just the messenger. Thank you very much.